The November rain lashed against the floor-to-ceiling windows of Kyle Vu's mansion like a watery veil. The wind howled through the ancient oak trees, carrying the first bite of winter into his study, where he sat drumming his fingers impatiently on his Patek Philippe watch. 11:23 p.m., and the new nanny still hadn't arrived. "Unbelievable," Kyle muttered, his voice rough from a day of back-to-back meetings. He reached for his phone to call the agency when the doorbell rang, the sound fragmented as if the ringer was shivering from the cold. The porch light revealed a woman in a soaked denim jacket, her black hair plastered to her pale face. A worn plastic suitcase left watery trails on the marble doorstep. "I'm sorry, my train was delayed 2 hours." The woman looked up, her warm voice cutting through the icy air. Kyle felt his chest tighten. Those amber-brown eyes, the way her thick lashes fluttered, it all triggered a vague sense of déjà vu, like something from a half-remembered dream. "I'm Linh Nguyen, your new nanny." She bowed slightly, rainwater dripping from her hair onto the cold stone. Kyle noticed her trembling hands, not from the chill, but as if suppressing some deep fear. The patter of small feet on hardwood stairs shattered the silence. Sophie, his 5-year-old daughter, appeared in bare print pajamas, her round eyes lighting up at the stranger. "Mommy Linh, you're back," the girl squealed, wrapping herself around the drenched woman's legs. Kyle froze. Sophie hadn't voluntarily hugged anyone since her mother's death 2 years ago. What did you call her?" Kyle's voice cracked. Lynn knelt to Sophie's level, hands shaking as she wiped rain from the child's face. "Sweetheart, I'm just your new." A loud thud interrupted as Lynn's canvas bag hit the floor, spilling its contents. Kyle bent to help, his fingers brushing a worn plastic ID card. In the yellow porch light, the text "Linh Nguyen, head nurse, maternity ward, Happiness General Hospital" stood out starkly. The very hospital where his wife had died delivering Sophie. Lynn snatched back the ID, but not before Kyle spotted the tarnished silver bracelet on her wrist, an exact match to the one he'd gifted his wife on their 3rd anniversary. His eyes locked onto the distinctive snowflake engraving. This couldn't be coincidence. "Could I trouble you for some water?" Lynn coughed weakly, her face suddenly ashen. Before Kyle could respond, Sophie tugged her hand. "Mommy Lynn, I have orange juice in the fridge." As the confused woman let herself be led away by the child, Kyle saw a fleeting expression that mirrored his late wife's, that same bewildered look whenever he teased her. One burning question consumed him. Who exactly was this mysterious woman? And why did Sophie call her mommy? The grandfather clock in the foyer struck midnight as Lynn followed Sophie's tiny hand up the curved staircase. Kyle stood frozen in the entryway, rainwater pooling around his Italian loafers. His fingers unconsciously traced the snowflake engraving on his own platinum wedding band, the matching piece to the bracelet now glinting on the nanny's wrist. "Sir." His housekeeper Maria appeared with a towel. "Should I prepare the guest suite?" Kyle opened his mouth to refuse when a child's laughter floated down from above. Sophie's unmistakable giggle, a sound he hadn't heard since before the accident. Against his better judgment, he nodded. 3 days later, 6:12 a.m. The smell of caramelized onions and faux broth pulled Kyle from sleep. He followed the aroma to the kitchen where Lynn stood at the stove, humming that French lullaby again. Sophie sat cross-legged on the counter, happily braiding the nanny's damp hair. Morning light caught the scar peeking from beneath Lynn's sleeve, a jagged line running from wrist to elbow, the exact pattern of broken glass from Emily's car crash. "You cook Vietnamese breakfast now?" Kyle's voice came out harsher than intended. Lynn's wooden spoon clattered against the pot. Sophie said it's your wife's recipe. Her eyes darted to the framed photo on the fridge, Emily holding newborn Sophie in this very kitchen. The nanny's fingers trembled as she adjusted her bracelet, but Sophie caught her hand. "Look, Daddy, Mommy's snowflake." The child pressed Lynn's wrist against Kyle's matching band. The engravings aligned perfectly. A crash echoed from the hallway. Maria stood pale-faced, a shattered vase at her feet. "Madame Emily's roses. She always said they'd bloom when..." The old housekeeper's gaze locked onto Lynn's scar.
Mon Dieu.
That afternoon, pediatrician's office. Her asthma's improved dramatically. Dr. Chun adjusted his glasses. Whatever new regimen your nanny's using, stick with it. Kyle stared at the prescription pad. The loopy handwriting matched the anonymous notes left with Sophie's hospital blankets years ago. His phone buzzed with a text from HR. Background check complete. Linh Nguyen, former head nurse at Happiness General. Resigned after patient death, car accident December 24th. No current license. FY her employee photo looks nothing like. The message ended as Sophie's scream pierced the air. Kyle burst into the exam room to find his daughter convulsing. Lynn performing precise chest compressions with professional calm. Epinephrine. Now! She barked at the nurse, using the exact tone Emily had during or emergencies. As the medicine took effect, Sophie's tiny hand clutched Lynn's scarred arm. "Don't go again, Mommy," the child whispered. Kyle's world tilted. On Lynn's trembling wrist, the snowflake bracelet caught the light, revealing microscopic initials hidden in the design. EVL Emily Vu's maiden monogram. The cardiac monitor's steady beep marked time in the sterile hospital room. Kyle watched numbly as Lynn stroked Sophie's hair. The same slow, clockwise motion Emily always used when their daughter had night terrors. Outside the window, the first snowflakes of December began to fall, each one a silent echo of the engravings on that damned bracelet. Her oxygen levels are stabilizing. Lynn didn't look up from adjusting Sophie's for, her voice carrying that peculiar blend of clinical precision and maternal warmth Kyle hadn't heard since he crushed the thought. Maria's gnarled hand suddenly gripped his elbow. "The roses," the housekeeper whispered urgently. "All 12 bushes bloomed this morning, red like blood." Her breath smelled of sacramental wine. "She told me they'd only flower when..." A code blue alarm drowned her out. The scent of pine needles and Emily's Chanel No. 5 filled the car as she laughed at Kyle's terrible Mariah Carey impression. Snowflakes melted against the windshield as she reached across the gearshift to squeeze his hand, her silver bracelet catching the streetlight's glow. "Slow down," she'd murmured. "The roads are..." Tires screeched, glass shattered, then silence. Kyle woke 3 days later to learn 3 facts. Emily had died instantly. Sophie survived because someone performed an emergency tracheotomy at the scene. The Good Samaritan vanished without leaving a name. "You were there." Kyle cornered Lynn outside the vending machines, his reflection warped in her dilated pupils. That night on Route 9, Lynn's thermos of jasmine tea slipped from her fingers. The liquid spread across the linoleum like a Rorschach test. "I lost my memory after the crash," she said at last. "Woke up in a rural clinic with this." She pushed up her sleeve to reveal the full scar, a roadmap of broken glass matching Emily's autopsy report. Kyle's phone buzzed. The DNA lab notification glared up at them. Preliminary results. Maternal match confirmed between Sophie VU, 5, and Linh Nguyen, 32. Full report pending. Lynn made a sound like a wounded animal. "That's impossible. Unless..." Her fingers flew to the faded vaccination mark on her left arm. The same unique triangular pattern Emily received during her Medicines Sans Frontieres mission. The hospital PA system crackled to life. Code white maternity ward. All available personnel. Lynn was already running. Maternity ward. 8:47 p.m. Kyle found her kneeling beside a screaming newborn. A blue-lipped preemie abandoned in the chapel. Lynn's hands moved with supernatural certainty, performing the exact compression sequence Emily had pioneered for neonatal distress. "Look at me, sweetheart," she cooed, using Emily's childhood nickname. The baby's cries softened as Lynn hummed La Vie en Rose off-key, just like Emily always did. "Anun gaspit." It's a miracle, just like when Dr. Vu saved those conjoined twins. Kyle's world fractured. Emily's medical triumphs were never publicized. Sophie's hospital room, 11:11 p.m. Moonlight through the blinds striped Sophie's sleeping face as Kyle confronted Lynn with the evidence. 1. The bracelet's hidden initials. 2. The vaccination scar. 3. The impossible medical knowledge. Lynn pressed her forehead to the window. What if souls don't move in straight lines? Snowflakes caught in her lashes like diamonds. That night on Route 9, Emily was already gone when I reached the car. But Sophie's little hand, it wrapped around my finger and pulled. She turned, tears cutting through 2 years of unspoken grief. I died in that ditch, Kyle, but some part of her lived in me. Outside, the wind howled through the parking lot, scattering snowflakes that melted the instant they touched the ground. The digital clock in Sophie's hospital room blinked 3:17 a.m. when the nun returned. Sister Marguerite's rosary beads clicked like insect wings as she placed a yellowed file on Kyle's lap. The orphanage records from Emily's 2014 mission in Kinshasa. A Polaroid slipped free. Emily cradling a malnourished toddler with a triangular vaccination scar. The child's eyes burned amber even in the faded photo. Your wife called her little lion, the nun murmured. The only survivor of Ward C. Kyle's thumb traced the date stamp, December 24, 2014. Exactly 9 months before Linh Nguyen appeared in Boston's foster system with no memories. Across the room, Lynn slept curled in an armchair, her scarred arm protectively draped over Sophie. Moonlight revealed what daylight hid. The faintest web of surgical scars along her hairline, the telltale marks of a skull fracture repaired by Congo's back alley surgeons. The heart monitor's rhythm changed. Sophie sat bolt upright, eyes glazed with sleep-prophetic clarity. Daddy, the snow lady's here. A gust of wind flung open the window. Frost crystallized across Lynn's eyelashes as her own voice emerged from Sophie's mouth in eerie unison. You promised to find me before the roses bloomed. Kyle's wedding band turned icy against his skin. Outside, 12 red roses glowed unnaturally bright against the hospital's snowdrifts, their petals pulsing like human hearts. The nun crossed herself. The veil is thin tonight. Lynn's eyes flew open, not brown anymore, but Emily's exact shade of storm cloud gray. When she spoke, 2 voices tangled in her throat. I could only come back through a door that was already open. Her hands rose to cradle Kyle's face, one bearing Lynn's calluses, the other moving with Emily's surgeon-precise grace. She let me in when the car flipped, shared this body so I could save our girl. Sophie's tiny fingers intertwined with theirs. The heart monitor flatlined, not from distress, but because 3 heartbeats had synchronized into one perfect rhythm. Somewhere beyond the window, a car horn screamed through the night. The same dissonant note from the crash. The same moment the universe fractured. The roses burst into flame.